Welcome back to day 2 of BioPharm America 2016 here in Boston. The day is getting going and a lot of companies are going to be presenting here today, and we're going to be speaking with a number of those companies, including ContraVir Pharmaceuticals of Edison, New Jersey. Glad to have with us the CEO of ContraVir, James Sapirstein, and ContraVir right now is really focused on hepatitis B with a couple different drugs that it thinks could create a combination approach in a therapeutic area that basically needs an improvement of therapy. So I know there's been a recent M&A transaction, I guess back in May, with Ciclofilin. Why don't you start with that and tell us how that informs ContraVir's overall strategy in Hep B?
Well, the overall strategy for hepatitis B for all patients will be combination therapy.
Yeah.
Similar to the 1990s where what you saw in HIV, you needed a cocktail of drugs, and similarly, recently in hepatitis C, you need a cocktail of drugs, really to help find what is a functional cure. Hepatitis B will be no different. So all of the companies, there's over 40 companies working on trying to find the right combinations for the hepatitis cure, the eventual cure.
Right.
So CMX157, which is a lipid conjugate of tenofovir, will be the backbone therapy, as I like to call the hinge in the door strategy, backbone therapy to other products that we can add on to it. CRV431, which we acquired through the acquisition, is a cyclophilin. It's what we thought is the best of all the cyclophilins. It has the largest therapeutic index, it's the most potent, and that's going to be the first drug that we're going to attach to our combination.
So tell us where both of those drugs are on the development pathway right now.
Well, 431, which we just acquired, is going through its IND process. We hope to have the IND filed by the beginning, by the end of next year, 2017. However, there's a lot of small little programs that we're doing with it. We're testing it against all other types of products that like J&J might have, or Sanofi might have. So you're going to see a lot of interesting data coming out of that, even albeit preclinical. CMX157 is far more advanced. We finished our phase 1 program. We are now in the middle of our phase 2 program. We have 5 cohorts, 5, 10, 25, 50, and 100 milligrams compared head-to-head to 300 milligrams of Viread. We are now literally September 21st entering the third piece of that protocol, the third cohort, which is 25 milligrams.
Okay. How is CMX157 different from Viread?
Well, the difference is that, I should say they're both prodrugs of tenofovir. Tenofovir cannot exist by itself. I kind of call like the car and the key. Okay. You know, the car is tenofovir, the key is the prodrug that goes with it. So we have a different prodrug. We have a lipid-based prodrug. Tenofovir is tenofovir disoprosyl fumarate, which is a salt. And even TAF that's coming is another analog of tenofovir. It's another prodrug that's coming. So the way we differ is we stay in the liver cells far longer. We have a little delay coming out of the liver, and the drug has to work in the liver to try to eradicate cccDNA. So that's where we believe we're going to be a little bit more effective than Viread.
And it sounds like ContraVir might have a couple competitive advantages in that you were heavily involved with Viread at Gilead, and the CEO, the former CEO of Ciclofilin, is joining your team as Chief Scientific Officer, and I guess he'll lead the development of the preclinical compound that they're bringing, right?
Correct. So let's talk about Robert Foster, who's joining us as the Chief Scientific Officer. Robert had been the CEO himself for close to 15 years. Right. He has absolute expertise in the hepatitis space. Along with Robert, we get his lab. So we get members of his team. So we're keeping a lab in our Canadian office as an affiliate. And they're going to be able to do a lot of experiments that we're going to pay millions of dollars for. We don't have to pay that amount of money. And yes, I was at Gilead. I was the global head leader of Viread we launched into HIV. I know that drug. It's like one of my children. Right. So I know it extremely well.
So I think that gives you a head up in doing a different prodrug of the molecule.
I hope so.
Yeah. So you're here at BioPharm America this week, and so what is ContraVir's goals coming into this conference? Are you looking for a partner? Are you looking for financing? Are you just raising awareness of the program?
All those things.
Okay.
I think this is a terrific conference where we can come and meet some prospective CROs as we move our programs forward. There's also other companies here that are interested in talking to us. Boston's a great town to have a meeting in because there's obviously a lot of investors around here as well that might be interested in buying some of our stock or investing in our future as well. Right. And obviously we'll be presenting our company tomorrow, and I'm sure I'll get a whole host of questions from different vendors, people who can help us with valuation. So even before we come, we set up a great deal of meetings, one-on-one meetings to talk to some folks about our company.
Okay. So I think you said before that there's about 40 companies right now looking to improve therapy for HBV. Did you say that?
That's correct.
So how, we've seen, and it's getting to be a mature state now, the competition in hepatitis C. How is hepatitis B going to be similar, and how is it going to be different, if at all?
Well, that's a terrific question. We're in its infancy right now. Yeah. I actually equate, because hepatitis C is a little easier to kill, I would say, than HBV is, hepatitis B. So you're not going to see the huge ramp up that you saw in hepatitis C, but it's going to be gradual. The market, it may not get to be the $250 billion market that hepatitis C will be, because some of the price points are already set with Viread and some of the other products that are being used, but they're not as effective as they should be because we don't have the proper combinations. So I look back to what the HIV market was like in the early 90s, where you had a couple of products, they couldn't be used together until you saw protease inhibitors with very potent molecules come out that you can use in combination, and all of a sudden the HIV marketplace exploded. That's what I think you'll see in hepatitis B. So I would say we're about 3 to 5 years from that. So everyone's trying to find the right combinations now. And then in 3 years' time, you'll see some very good phase 2 combinations, and then you'll see the market set itself. And I believe it will be close to a $100 billion market when the time comes.
Wow. And I believe you said that in Hep B, we're talking about a functional cure. What does that mean?
Well, a functional cure is that you basically bring the level of virus to undetectable for a long period of time. And you could do it with just a whole host of drugs, and that's it. So even in Hep C, it's the cure. You get it within 6 weeks or 8 weeks, but you just have undetectable virus, so you can't find the virus. HIV, basically, you have a cure too. As long as you stay on your regimen for life, it's a chronic disease like diabetes or cardiovascular disease. You shouldn't die really from AIDS-related causes as long as you stay on your drug, because there's always drugs being developed. Hepatitis B will be the same. It'll probably be chronic, and for a while until you get the really more potent drugs coming out years later that might bring it to this functional cure of undetectable levels.
Okay, so this may or may not be lifetime therapy for the patients it applies to.
Right now, jury's out. We're not quite sure.
Okay. Now, tell me about how these two compounds will be complementary in addressing the HBV virus.
Well, that's also a good question, because that's really the way combinations work. Right. They interrupt the life cycle of the virus replicating at different areas. Right. So, for instance, you'll need 3 elements. You'll need a direct-acting antiviral, which CMX157 is. You need some kind of immune function drug, which CRV431 is, to help restore some of the body's immune function, because that's really how hepatitis B is going to be battled. You're going to need your immune system to take over and suppress the virus while the other drugs are attacking the virus. So they work at different levels of the virus life cycle. Okay,
and I've had the chance to speak to you before, and I think you said that you're hoping that maybe CMX157 will be the backbone of therapy. I'm putting you on the spot here, kind of like Sofosbuvir in HCV.
Yeah, that's the
plan.
Goal. That's the plan. That's the plan. We hope we can do that. We hope because we could show equivalence in terms of viral suppression to tenofovir, but also a better safety profile. Because if we could show a better safety profile, then everyone will want to use our drug with their combinations.
Okay. James Sapirstein, thanks, and have a great conference.
Thank you very much.
All right. We'll be back with more from BioPharm America.